stick to ice cream. Not gonna lie, we get this one a lot.
Yeah, we're in the ice cream business, but
when we're talking about boycotts, companies to avoid problematic history of certain companies, their involvement in the German Nazi regime or their involvement in the colonization of Africa, etc., etc. There's often this discourse about praising Ben and Jerry's for their inclusivity, for them standing up for what's right, basically for doing the bare minimum of human decency, right? And I just want to remind you, and this is no hate, no shade. This is just the truth. Whatever you want to do with this information, it's on you, okay? Before I say what I want to say, I just want to say one thing. Ben & Jerry's indeed is the better pick than any Nestle-owned company. Because in actuality, they do use their voice to some extent in the right way. I'm not debating that. I'm not debunking that. I'm not taking away from that. Now, the problem is that there are always two sides to every coin, right? And Ben & Jerry's is not its own company. Ben & Jerry's is owned by another company. And that's what we're going to talk about. And before I talk about that, I just want you to remember one thing. It is good to do something, but if you, in the meantime or while doing that, enable a literal colonizer, you enable a company that is known for supporting, for example, fabrics in the occupied West Bank, that is known for stealing resources, that has been known to be highly problematic, then I'm asking, or I'm throwing the question out there, how much good did you actually do? Or is that kind of hypocritical? Because when you're saying, hey, free the people, we talk about white privilege, and then you go back and financially support a company that's absolutely outrageous and should not be supported, how much good have you actually done? Or is that more like, let me do something so that people cannot call me bad? Just saying. And another thing before I say what I want to say, I get companies like P&G, companies like Nestle, and like Unilever are literally impossible to entirely boycott. I also get that. So I'm not putting this video up here for blame game situations, pointing fingers. I just want you to know that just because someone plays in your face and is like, hey, white supremacy is bad, we should stand up against racism, we are inclusive, that does not mean that they are financially on the right side of history. Just so you know. Because at the end of the day, never trust white people. So when you put on Google, I don't fucking know why this shit cuts half of this thing off. When you put in Google, who does Ben & Jerry's belong to, it shows you that the brand was acquired by Unilever in 2000. And therefore is available in 33 countries around the globe. Unilever, on the other hand, like I said, is problematic for a shitload of reasons, and we are only going to go into a few of them. One, Unilever, like I said, supports Israeli illegal settlements in occupied Palestine. However, Ben & Jerry's, when their sub-brand decided to stop selling its products to Israel, Unilever sold off the Israeli distribution rights to Avi Singer to circumvent their decision and to force Ben & Jerry's brand name to continue selling in Israel. This is so much legal shit. There's so much legal in-between situations going on. It's literally impossible to judge. So I'm not pointing fingers at Ben & Jerry, because at the end of the day, they did what is right. They did stop selling products to Israel. So thumbs up for that. Unilever, on the other hand, Unilever is just a piece of shit. That brand should not be supported for anything. And I'm going to tell you why. As if supporting illegal settlements in occupied Palestine is not bad enough. No, Unilever was part of literally purchasing the landmass of what we now know as Nigeria. And for those of you that might be Afrobeat fans or whatever, you might have heard that line in Burna Boy's Another Story, where he speaks about how Nigeria just started as a business deal for the British and that it was acquired, and this is another story. And then he talks about Unilever. So if you want, go and look up the lyrics. So to look into this directly, you have to first of all understand that Unilever hasn't always been Unilever, right? Unilever was formerly known as Royal Niger Company. And the Royal Niger Company actually, that's fact, non-debatable, sold the area the land mass of what was later known as Nigeria, when it was shared in 1884 in the Berlin Conference, or sometimes called Congo Conference, that land mass was later sold for this amount from the Royal Niger Company to the British government. So now you might be saying, oh, by the time this happened, Unilever was not even Unilever, right? It was the Royal Niger Company. Right, 100%. However, Unilever, mind you, the Berlin Conference happened 2 years prior to this, in 1884 in Berlin, right? The Royal Niger Company exploited the economical potential of the Niger River area and its surrounding territories, which, if you look at the shape of Nigeria, we have northern Nigeria, Sokoto, Kano, all these places, Abuja and above. And then you have the south, which is where for example, the Igbo tribe lives and the Bini tribe lives, around Ibadan, Delta State, Imo State, anything basically going from Lagos down south. So that's the Niger River area. The south of Nigeria is the Niger River area and its surrounding territories, meaning everything that was later mapped out, carved out during the Berlin Conference in 1884. That landmass was indeed acquired by the Royal Niger Company. By the way, the amount I mentioned earlier, 865,000 British pounds, then is an approximate of 45 million pounds today. Still absolutely ridiculous considering the fact that they bought a country for that. So, however, in 1929, the company, meaning the Royal Niger Company, became part of the United Africa Company, which was then under the control of Unilever during the 1930s, and therefore continued to exist under Unilever until 1987, when it was absorbed into the parent company. So that means at some time they became one, which means this was not like Unilever bought something and it was a cut-off. Unilever took that company, but it continued to exist under the umbrella of Unilever. So anything that company did, and mind you, if a company can establish a land and sell it to the British government, you know that that company isn't up for no good. So Unilever, buying a company that acquired land illegally, directly enabled that illegal acquiring of those land masses, and any human loss, I don't want to call it what it was, unaliving, etc., that came along with that, was directly enabled by the Unilever company. That's not only enough, because Unilever still exists today in the same shape or form. So these things have not changed. Unilever is still very much alive today, and the history of Unilever has not changed. It's not as if there was ever anything done to correct this crime. No reparations were paid. Nothing was there to correct it. Unilever continues, like literally every other Western company, to exploit the African continent. This is not just in Nigeria. I'm using Nigeria as an example because Nigeria was literally bought by the company that later became part of Unilever. And if you go somewhere and you buy a house, you know the history of that house. You're going to make inquiries. You're going to find out what the house was built of, what it was built on, who built it, why was it built, what's the history, why is it being sold? All these questions are being asked because you're using money. You're using a big chunk of money to invest in something. You're going to make research. Unilever, no. They knew what the Royal Niger Company did in Africa to acquire that land, because it's common fucking sense that Nigerians or the tribes in Nigeria were not just, yeah, come on, just take our land, it's fine. Here you go. That's not what happened. So Unilever knowing that directly means Unilever has a very big hand in, if not colonization, but neo-colonization, and the upholding of white supremacy, Western power, the exploitation of the continent, and modern-day slavery. And that's not debatable. Oh, just one thing. Before you want to come and disagree and be like, oh, but, do your research. Don't. Because like I said in the beginning of this video, I get it. I get that there is some good being done, but what is it worth if there's so much bad lingering under, You can't tell me, oh, Black Lives Matter, and then you go and shit on Palestinians. Is that you're inclusive and intersectional, or you get the fuck out?